This was the legendary port city of Famagusta. When Ottoman forces surrounded Famagusta in September of 1570, they expected it to fall as easily as the rest of the island, but they were in for a big surprise. The Venetians had spared no expense in building up Famagusta's defences and had put the city under the leadership of one of their most courageous and charismatic commanders, Marcantonio Bragadin. The arrival of spring in 1571 brought a full-scale assault on Famagusta. A barrage of cannon fire was unleashed as Ottoman sappers dug zigzagging trenches up to the city walls in an attempt to undermine them with explosives. Meanwhile, the Ottoman navy blockaded the port, denying the city access to basic supplies. In late July, the Ottoman army finally broke through the city walls, forcing Bragadin to surrender.
We are actually standing on top of what is known as the land gate. This is where they put the white flag of surrender up. Bragadino was received by Lala Mustafa Pasha in his camp still. Lala Mustafa Pasha got very angry. Bragadino is thrown into a dungeon. His ears and his nose is cut off, and he's dipped into water so he can feel more pain, salt water into the sea, and then brought to the square, and he's skinned alive.
Flayed?
Flayed, yes.
Gosh, the end.
Not the end yet. His skin is stuffed with straw and then is taken round the streets of Famagusta, showing what happens if you betray the Ottomans, if you break your word. So a sad end for Bragadino.
Sad. Horrifying end, I would say.
Horrifyingly sad end. Sad end.
Back in Venice, the news of Famagusta and Bragadin's fate was a shocking blow. The city was plunged into mourning, and a special monument was created to honour the fallen commander here in the church of Santissimi San Giovanni e Paolo, alongside the tombs of the doges and images of the martyrs.
The memorial behind me is dedicated to the Venetian hero Famagusta, Marcantonio Bragadin. I suppose you can actually call it his tomb, because, somewhat incredibly, that urn is meant to contain his skin. It was, we are told, soft as silk. The fresco above, depicting the horrible manner of his death, was a constant and vivid reminder to Venetians of just how much he had suffered at the hands of the Ottomans. But Bragadin hadn't died in vain. He had impeded the Ottoman advance, and more importantly than that, he had provided Venice with a martyr and a cause.
Bragadin's end turned out to be completely counterproductive to the Ottomans. It had exactly the opposite effect that it was meant to have. I think it was meant to cower Christian Europe, but it gave the Venetians a common cause with the Pope, with the Habsburgs, and it unified Christian Europe.
By September of 1571, the Holy League had assembled over 200 warships off the coast of Sicily and set forth on their mission to seek and destroy the Ottoman fleet. As they scoured the coastline of Greece, the Ottoman fleet was safe and secure inside the Gulf of Lepanto, today's Gulf of Corinth. But by October, the Holy League's fleet was closing in. On October the 7th, 1571, an Ottoman fleet of some 300 galleys, under the command of Ali Pasha, left the safety of the harbour and headed out through the Straits of Corinth, where they encountered the Holy League.
135 Ottoman ships having been captured, 25,000 Ottomans dead in the water, 12,500 Christian slaves released. It was said that they could hardly sail the ships away, so matted was the surface with dead bodies, like a biblical painting of the end of the world.
During the Battle of Lepanto, an estimated 40,000 men lost their lives in the space of 4 hours. It was an unprecedented rate of killing that would not be surpassed until the First World War, and never again at sea.